Hello everybody, welcome to a character creation for the RPG Vampire the Requiem 2nd Edition. I'm going to assume you know what that RPG is because you're looking up the character creation or how to build the character. This is something I've been wanting to find on YouTube for quite some time when I got into the game not too long ago, and I was surprised to see, and by not that long ago, I mean about a couple months ago. So, I was surprised to see that there was not a whole lot of videos on creating a character for Vampire the Requiem 2nd Edition. There's a lot for Vampire the Masquerade tabletop RPG, and there's certainly a lot for character creation videos for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the video game based off the RPG, which that video game was made quite some time ago, and my nose is itching. Sorry. Made some time ago, and well, not some time ago, 2006 I want to say. It is a very good RPG video game, and you can still play it. It's available on Steam, and you're going to need to install some unofficial patches. The game is no longer supported, so you're going to need the unofficial patches through the modding community for it. I played it about 2 years ago. It's a great game. Dated, but great. But let's get to this tabletop. Obviously I'm in Adobe Acrobat just for the ease of the video. So his name is Frank LaCroix. I know LaCroix is French for the cross. So after you come up with your name, you need to come up with your concept. This could be computer whiz. This could be silent bouncer. It could be street pickpocket. It could be performer pickpocket. Paulo Robbins is a performer pickpocket. And if you haven't checked out his TED Talks, check it out. It's pretty cool. Alright, this man, Frank LaCroix, is a faceless corporate CEO. He prefers to run businesses in the background, not really being seen during board meetings, not really holding many parties or going to the corporate parties. He's often seen as a reclusive man. No wonder the vampires wanted to embrace him as one of their child. Alright, after you have your name and your concept, you need to figure out his goals, his aspirations. On this sheet, and in the game, this is the only place where you're allowed to metagame. Sorry. So, let's get to that. I need to get to the right page of my notes, because I made this character earlier today, specifically for this video, so just so I can be a little bit more succinct with it, because I tend to ramble. So his first aspiration is to rise to significance. Come on. Significant. I also cannot spell. Rise to power. I do not know why I did that, and no, it did not. Okay. Again, don't know why I capitalized it. Alright. Now this could be living long enough to be an elder and be a part of the advising circle for the prince of the city, or to become a prince of the city. Either one is a good stand-in for rising to significant power. Aspirations are really for the storyteller and to give your character focus. I generally like to have one long-term goal, one long-term aspiration, two short-term aspirations, but you can fill your aspirations with long-term goals or short-term goals. If you want to see a lot of probably progress with his rising through the social ranks, or just his rise in power or significance, then fill it with short-term goals. If you don't mind taking a while to achieve your goals, long-term aspirations would be a nice fit. So, but I generally like one long-term, two short-term. I'll rarely do one short-term, two long-term, but I've done it. Alright, so his next one is finding a safe place or area to feed. This is paramount for every vampire, because if you can't feed, well, you're not gonna live long. That's just how it is. The next one is finding a way to run his business. Now, he could say that due to family issues or personal problems, that the only time he can come in and do work in the corporation is at night. Or he could possibly have a retainer take his place. Or he could have a ghoul take his place once he finds out that he can have retainers and have ghoul and make ghouls. Again, metagaming is allowed in this part of the game. It just keeps your character with a focus. Once your character finds out, I mean, when he becomes a vampire, you're going to know. Once he knows he's a vampire, he's going to know that he needs to feed somehow, somewhere. I mean, if his sire is there and helping him through this, then he may show him, here's a good place to feed. Or help him, or tell him, if you make a ghoul, you can have that. Things like that. Alright, so now that we have his aspirations finished, we go to his attributes. Alright, there's 3 numbers for attributes. As you can see, your attributes here are represented by dots. You see a lot of areas where your skill is represented by dots. I mean, your health is represented by dots. What do these dots mean? Well, for attributes, skills, these dots represent a number of dice. Speaking of dice, this isn't your typical D20 system of dice. What I mean by that is, in games like D&D, you have a D20, a D10, a D8, a D6, a D12, a D10, 10, a D10 used for percentile and D100s. Whoops, wrong direction. It's always denoted by the extra 0. And your small and humble D4. This game doesn't use that system of dice. Sorry, I'm arranging them. I have them arranged on my desk in a certain fashion. It's an aesthetic choice, really. Anyway, what this system does use is the D10. The 0 is the 10, for those of you really new to RPGs. That's all this does. These dots in each of those areas are dice, are D10s. Sorry. Now, the dots also do represent your understanding or your ability in those areas. One dot in these attributes mean you're below average. So you're not, you have below average intelligence, or you're very terrible at being witty, like I am. I'm below average in wits. If I was to make my character in this, which would be very strange, so to say that. And 2 dots is average. With all that being said, you have 3 different number of dots to put into 3 different categories of attribute. You'd think you'd have dots to put in your attributes for social attributes, your physical attributes, and your intelligence attributes, your mental attributes. No, it's your priority of attributes, your primary, secondary, and tertiary attributes and skills. So your primary attributes get 5 dots, your secondary attributes get 2 dots, and your tertiary attributes get 3 dots. With that in mind, I made my primary box social, and I put 2 of those dots in presence, 2 of those dots in manipulation, and 1 of those dots in composure. Let me make sure I am correct there. Yes. So his presence, he's very, when you notice him, he's there. He's got an above average presence. When you notice him, he is there. He doesn't exactly stand out to you, but when you notice him, you can't take your eyes off of him. His manipulation is, well, he can manipulate people very well, let's say. And he's got an average composure. I made my tertiary, or not my tertiary, my secondary, my mental skills, yes. Put 2 in intelligence, 3 into, I put 2 into resolve, 1 into intelligence, 2, 3, no, I put 2 in intelligence, sorry. Halfway through my notes in my notes I started here with the total amount of dots, and then when I was here I changed it to how many dots I put in to the skills, which did not make sense and it's confusing me now. So, and now we have my tertiary, which I'm just going to split up evenly in my physical attributes. Now we have to allocate dots for skills. And you have primary skills, secondary skills, and tertiary skills. Your primary skills get 11 dots. Your secondary skills get 5 dots. No, 7 dots. Sorry. And your tertiary skills get 4 dots. Keeping with my theme of attributes, his social box here is where his primary is where he excels. I have 11 dots. So I put 3 into empathy. He can recognize emotion in people. In humans, he can express. I put 3 into expression so he can express those emotions to people. I put 3 into persuasion so he can talk to you, get to know you. And speaking of which, 2 into socialize so he can talk to you and get to know you. And then once he knows you, he's going to persuade you to do something. Most likely buy something. Actually, he's going to ask you to buy something. Because if it was for a sensual matter, that's subterfuge, not persuasion. Although you could use it for persuasion. Storyteller would have to get with you, would have to talk to you about that one. Alright, his secondary box of skills is mental? Yes. And I put 3 into computers, 2 into academics, whoops, and 2 into investigation. Computer skills are paramount in the business world. If you don't know how to, say, program a website, or don't know how to do certain things on the computer, you're not going to get far. Especially in the corporate higher world. That's where I'm mainly speaking. If you don't know how to do things on the computer in this CEO corporate world, you are probably not going to get far. But I may be wrong. I have no experience there. And of course my tertiary is physical. Put 2 into firearms, 2 into stealth. Stealth is so he can stay hidden when he wants to be hidden. His presence is there for when he wants attention to be put on him. Stealth for when he doesn't want attention to be put on him. Firearms is just so he can protect himself with a greater aptitude than just punching. Alright, now with your skills, you get to have 3 specialties. They could all be in one box, or you can have them spread out in all the boxes. You can have 2 specialties in one box, and 1 specialty in any of the others. So, I spread mine amongst the 3. Sorry, nose itched. For here, I have persuasion as confidence scam. I have it written down, that's why I'm looking over. And so basically what he did before he became a CEO was get people to buy things. He would get to know them. He might have been a traveling salesman. He would get to know them, talk to them a little bit, and he would say, oh, that sounds like you need this. So, I mean, I know that nothing else has cleaned you've tried every shampoo and nothing has worked so far. Well, try this. This will make everything better. That kind of scam, playing upon your insecurities type thing. Would that come in handy in most games? Probably not. Specialties are specialties. They're very focused to one thing, and you may never use them, but when you do, it adds, for the mechanics of the game, it adds an extra die. to your pool, to your dice pool. So when it comes up, it's great. When it doesn't, oh well. Now in here I have this set to pistols because, yeah, it makes sense, because he picked up firearms for self-defense, personal defense. He's not going to walk down the street with a shotgun. Let's be real. And for mental, I have entrepreneurship. This is something you do. There are classes in college for this, and I would imagine you went to college for this. So, did I spell that right? Probably not. When it comes to entrepreneurship, that will probably not enter the game ever. Specialty with pistols, that probably will come up. Combat in the game isn't done with just fists after all. Alright, now after all of that, there's the clock. 2 minutes early. Now, we make him the vampire. So, he's going to be of the clan Ventrue. I'm not going to go with any bloodlines just because I don't have the source books for those. And he's going to be the Invictus Covenant. This is an organization within the vampire rule. Okay, now we have masks and dirges. Masks are who you are in public amongst humans. Dirges is who you are amongst your vampire peers, who you are behind closed doors. In the previous edition of the game, these were vices and virtues. I also think there were also vices and virtues in Vampire the Masquerade. So, Frank's mask is social chameleon. This is, again, he belongs really everywhere. He adapts to wherever he's at, and at that same token, it's hard to see him. He's hard to spot, if you will. He blends in with the crowd. His dirge is authoritarian. Whoopsie-tarian. I spelled that completely wrong. There we go. Now what that means is, behind closed doors, he needs structure. He doesn't need to be at the top of that structure, at the top of that power structure. He just needs the structure. On that same token, he's going to try and keep people from rising the ranks, catching up to him, and surpassing him. He's going to keep people from being at the same rung of power as he is. Alright, now that we have those, our starting blood potency, as you've noticed throughout this video so far, is starting at 1. Now we have 3 dots to put into disciplines. 2 of those dots have to be in disciplines specific to your clan. For the Ventrue, those specific disciplines are animalism, dominate, and resilience. So I picked up dominate, and resilience. I put 1 dot in each. The third dot can go into anything. Word of caution. Auspex, Majesty, Nightmare, and Protean are specific to are clan restricted, meaning Auspex belong to the Deva, or no, Auspex belongs to the Maquette, Majesty belongs to the Deva, Nightmare belongs to the Nosferatu, Protean belongs to the Gangrel. Kruak and Thauan sorcery and these coils belong to different covenants. Kruak belongs to the Circle of the Crown. Thauan sorcery belongs to, I want to say that belongs to the Carthaean movement, but it might also belong to, the Lankia Sanctum. I have to check. And these coils belong to the Ordo Dracul. No. Yeah. I don't know. Thauan sorcery. I will get to that here in a moment. Because I'm also going to show you how to level up, and I'll just check it then. Alright. So, this discipline that I picked up was obfuscate, which is basically being able to disappear in any situation. You become invisible. And the way I am justifying this is he's a social chameleon. He likes to blend in. He's stealthy. Whoops, I put the specialty in the wrong place. I actually wanted in plain sight as his specialty. Not pistols. Sorry. So he's hiding in plain sight. He's a social chameleon, so he can blend in with any group. So it makes sense for him to be able to just disappear. His vampire power, his vampire blood, the vampire blood and kindred manifests the beast and manifests itself in the way of powers. His powers are carried within vampire blood. So obfuscate would have definitely been one of the powers that manifested when he became a vampire. Okay, now we have a touchstone we need to define. Speaking of which, your touchstone goes here in your 6th slot of humanity. Speaking of humanity, you start off with 7 humanity. And this man's touchstone, sorry, nose itch again, is his son, Jonathan. Whoops. Yes. That's his touchstone. Now, what's the purpose of touchstones? What's the purpose of humanity? Humanity is the difference between you keeping in control of yourself and your actions and your beast keeping control of you. Your beast is the unrelenting, the unfiltered vampire monster. With a humanity of 1 or less, nothing is stopping you from killing everybody and getting killed yourself by vampire hunters. So it would be So this is what happens with humanity. And generally when people turn into vampires, again, this is within the game, not in real life, you want to stay as human as possible. And you sort of develop these touchstones to keep in touch with your humanity. These touchstones can be people, places, items. They hold significance to you. They remind you of when you were alive. So, his son Jonathan would be a pretty good touchstone. Now, we have merits to talk about. You do start off with 10 dots to place into merits. If you can spend 5 dots of your merits for a blood potency. You can spend all 10 of your dots from merits to get 2 more blood potency, to have a blood potency of 3. What your blood potency does is it increases your cap on how much vitae you can have. 1 is 10 vitae, 3 I think is 12 vitae. 1 dot in blood potencies, you can spend 1 vitae per turn. 3 blood potencies, you can spend 3 vitae per turn. I chose to have all of my dots go to merits. And merits are specific traits for your vampire. These can be these are mostly temporary. They can be permanent things, but generally most often they'll be temporary. So, but one of the ones that I chose that's probably going to be a more permanent asset for him is touchstone. 1 dot into touchstone, which gives him 1 more touchstone, which would be his son's, I don't know why I capitalized son there, son's platinum coin. Now this coin was a gift to his son on his son's 10th birthday, and that coin was used to show his son the value of $1, but more importantly to show that his son can achieve bigger and better things than what his father can do currently, what Frank can do currently. You know, it's a motivator. It's a motivational tool, is how he used it and gifted it. So it makes sense he would cling on to that idea of success, because now he can watch his son achieve all the successes in the world. Now I have talked about, now before I keep going with merits, I'm going to say this. You've seen this already. You've seen this one briefly when I was down here working on this portion of the page with social skills, physical, and all that. But what are banes? Banes are things that affect you negatively. Each clan has a bane. For the Ventru, that's the aloof, curse. What that means is these move up 1. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal. I'm just going to do this. That doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but it kind of is. I mean, having multiple touchstones increases your die pool for humanity rolls, but you can lose humanity. There's a thing of breaking points that will that could potentially lower your humanity if you fail those rolls. Which means you risk detachment. And by detachment I mean you go down in humanity. But when you go down in humanity and your touchstone happened to be there, well, you don't care about that touchstone anymore. That's the curse of the Ventru. The higher their humanity, the higher those touchstones are on the list. So while having multiple touchstones is a good thing, adding more dice to your pool up to a maximum of 3, from what I understand from the book. I may be wrong. I have to do more reading. So and that's a big deal because his 7 right now is his son Jonathan. Well, why don't I rearrange it? Well, then that means I care more about the gift I gave him rather than him. Well, in Frank's eyes, I mean. I'm not Frank at all. Again, this is a game. Role-playing is what I did there. Actually, no, let's role-play that out. Suggesting that Frank values that coin more than his son. Let's see how he reacts to that. Are you crazy? Of course not. He means everything to me. That was just merely a gift. I gave that to him to show him he can succeed in this world. And I will do anything to get him that success. This game is all about roleplay, as are most RPGs. And in here, these things that keep your humanity, these touchstones, are very important. So it's harder, and for a venture it's harder to keep touchstones. It's harder to keep your humanity. Anyway, let's keep going with merits. Alright, so my next merit is the status merit. Now the status merit can be a city status, can be clan status, could be covenant status. And with that idea, I went with Invictus status. 2 dots in it. So my sire, the person who made Frank a vampire, is high ranking in the Invictus, giving me a little bit higher of a social status with them. Giving me a social status with them in the first place would be nice, but giving me a higher one is good. Or giving him, I should say. At some point I'll probably play this character. Who knows? Status requires constant upkeep, so keep that in mind. The next one is... Whoops. Didn't want to do that. Is feeding grounds. 2. I will get into why that's high, why that's like that. But again, feeding grounds, doesn't that tie in with this aspiration? So the moment he becomes a vampire, he gets that? Not until he brings it up. Not until it becomes a problem. See, when he becomes this vampire, he's gonna try and hold on to his humanity. He's not going to feed. He's not going to feed until he absolutely needs to at first. So this won't come in till later. Much later. And by that time, he would know the city a little bit more. you'd get to know the vampire city a little bit more, let's more accurately say. Alright, the next one is alternate identity. 3 points in that. Now, why is that a big deal? It's up to a maximum of 3 for this merit, too. Like I said, he likes to hide in plain sight and for people to not really know who he is. So basically what this means is he has an alternate identity, he's got an alias, and he's got the paperwork to back it up. You can do all the searching you can, and who he claims to be is who he is. Oh boy, I need to save. Okay. I've been having a lot of stability issues with Adobe Acrobat Reader DC lately. And I know it's probably on my end. And my last merit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes. My last merit is an Invictus thing. Oath of Serfdom. And what this means is, I'm sort of make a contract with someone in the Invictus, a higher up in Invictus. In this case, my sire. This is sort of a lodgings. You have a rent. In this case, it's called a red rent. They get to have at least 1 vitae for every 4 vitae I claim in that area. And I add feeding ground dots. I believe this is my the sire's feeding ground dots to rolls protecting my sire or within that or within protecting that turf. I have to reread that. So that's what that's about. And again, this is temporary. When I no longer need to be there, that's when the contract ends. And that's when that goes away. Alright, so now we have all that. Down here in this little corner here, we have size, speed, defense, armor, initiative mod. We can get into that now. Actually, let's get into that now. Our size is 5. This is an adult kindred. This is an adult person. An adult human. So, this is what most kindred are. Okay. Now, I can get into these now, but let's do that. Let's go. Speed is size, plus strength plus dexterity. So our size is 5, our strength is 2, and our dexterity is 2. So our speed is 9. He's pretty quick on his feet. Our defense is the lowest of dexterity or wits. In this case, it's wits. I have 1 wits. Plus athletics, which I do not have. Plus celerity, which I do not have. So my defense is 1. Initiative is dexterity plus composure. So 2 plus 2? Yes, 4. My initiative mod is 4. Plus 4. What that means is you roll your d10 and you add 4 to that roll. What are beats and experiences? That comes into play for leveling, so we'll get to that. Now let's figure our health. Health is stamina plus size plus resilience. So 5 plus 2 for stamina plus resilience 1. So 5, 2, 1, that's 8. That's right, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our willpower is our resolve and composure. So 3 resolve, 2 composure, 5 willpower. And is that all? Vitae. Vitae is, your starting Vitae is you roll the d10. Let's see what it comes out as. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Save. Okay. Now, we need to, and now he's done. You're ready to play. And now we get to the portion where we begin to level the character. How do we level the character? How do we get experiences? What are beats? How do we do that? Well, beats are awarded by getting the exceptional successes, by getting the dramatic failures, by finishing a session. So pretty much at the end of the session you take a beat. At any point when you fail a roll, you can make it a dramatic failure and take a beat. You can only do that once per scene. And there's a couple other ways of doing it, I'm pretty sure, but those are the most common ways. And when you get 5 beats, you gain an experience. These experiences, however much, can go into these things. Any of these things. However, these things cost a certain amount. So let me go here. So, and while I'm looking at this, Theban's sorcery is specific to the Lancia et Sanctum. I thought it wasn't the Carthea movement. Anyway, attributes cost 4 experiences per dot. Merits cost 1 experience per dot. Skill specialties cost 1 experience per dot. Every other skill costs 2 experiences per dot. A clan discipline costs 3 experiences per dot. An out of clan discipline, like obfuscate for my Ventru here, costs 4 experiences per dot. Now, there's a few other things. Those coils that you saw, those are called coils of the dragon. They're specific for Ordo Dracul. Ordo Dracul has a couple different ways to get these. The coils are specific to a certain mystery that's within the Dracul, and you choose one of those mysteries. So, coils of the dragon within your chosen mystery is 3 experiences per dot. Coils of the dragon outside chosen mysteries are 4 experiences per dot. Cruac, which is specific for the Circle of the Crone Covenant, costs 4 experiences per dot. The Theban sorcery for Lancia et Sanctum, is 4 experiences per dot. Blood sorcery rituals are 2 experiences per dot. I don't exactly know what those are or where those come from. Scale of the Dragon, which is another Ordo Dracul thing, and I'm pretty sure the blood sorcery rituals are specific for Theban sorcery. Anyway, Scales of the Dragon cost 2 experiences per dot. Humanity, something that really is important, is 2 experiences per dot. Blood potency is 5 experiences per dot. The most expensive thing in this game, experience-wise. And then lost willpower dots is 1 experience. Yes, you can lose willpower. No, I'm not sure how that works. But, so, let's say he's been around the block a few times, and we have 5 experiences. Well, I could get blood potency. I could do some stuff here in skills, within merits. I can increase my humanity, my disciplines. So, what do we do? I could probably even put some in attributes here. What do I want to do? Well, I think, let's see, clan disciplines are 3 experiences per dot. So I think I'm going to raise my discipline, giving me a total of 2 experiences, and I'll increase, what else costs 1 experience? Specialties? And I'll increase my humanity, and with how I'm certain that the aloof curse only applies in character creation. I might be wrong, so it might actually go up. So let's make that change real quick. And if that's wrong, I will state in a future video that's not how that works. But yeah, that's making a character and leveling the character up. There's other things to get into, like these devotions. These other traits are just more merits. And rites and miracles. Stuff for combat, armor. Those are all for another video. So for now, I will bid you adieu. And by the way, my name is Will. And this is Game Ready.